Jake Miller pushed open the door to his small apartment and dropped his heavy backpack on the floor. The engineering student was tired after another long day at the university. He had 3 more months until graduation, and every day felt like a struggle. "I'm home," he called out, though he wasn't sure if anyone would answer. A soft voice came from the kitchen. "Welcome back, Jake." Jake walked to the kitchen and found his roommate sitting at the small table. Kira was unlike anyone he had ever met before. She was tall, maybe 7 feet, with long limbs and smooth skin that seemed to shine with its own light. Her skin was pale blue today, with small silver patterns that moved slowly across her arms and face. Kira belonged to a species called the Villani. Jake had learned this 3 months ago when the university told him he would have an alien roommate. The Galactic Exchange Program was new, and Jake was one of the first humans to live with someone from another world. "How was your day?" Jake asked, opening the refrigerator to find something to eat. "It was good," Kira replied in her quiet voice. "I finished my research on Earth's plant biology." "Your planet has very interesting flowers," Jake smiled. Kira was studying to become a scientist, just like him. But while Jake worked with machines and computers, Kira loved plants and living things. She spent most of her time in the university's greenhouse or reading thick books about Earth's nature. The two had been living together for 3 months now. At first, Jake had been nervous. He didn't know anything about aliens or how to live with someone so different. But Kira was polite and quiet. She kept her side of the apartment clean, she never made noise at night, and she always paid her share of the rent on time. Still, they were not really friends. They were more like strangers who happened to live in the same place. Jake knew almost nothing about Kira's home planet or her family. Kira seemed just as confused about human ways. She never understood why Jake watched television or why he liked to eat pizza. "I made some tea," Kira said, pointing to a cup on the counter. "It's from my homeworld. I thought you might like to try it." Jake picked up the cup and took a small sip. The tea was sweet and tasted like flowers. It was actually quite good. "Thank you," he said. "This is nice." Kira's skin shifted to a lighter blue, and Jake had learned that this meant she was happy. The Villani showed their feelings through their skin color, though Jake still didn't understand all the different colors and what they meant. "Jake," Kira said slowly, "can I ask you something?" "Sure," Jake replied, sitting down across from her. "Do humans have special times? Times when your body changes and you feel different?" Jake thought about this. "You mean like being sick? Or maybe you're asking about growing up?" "No, not like that," Kira said. Her skin was turning a darker blue now. "I mean times when your species needs to die. Jake nearly choked on his tea. "Oh, you mean like dating? Finding someone to marry?" "Sort of," Kira said. She looked down at her hands. "For humans, this is a choice, yes? You can decide when you want to find a partner." "Well, yeah," Jake said. "I mean, sometimes people feel lonely or want to be with someone, but we can control those feelings. Why do you ask?" Kira's skin was getting darker. "My species is different. We have times when our bodies change. Times when we cannot control our feelings or actions. It happens once every few years." Jake felt a strange worry in his stomach. "Is everything okay? Are you feeling sick?" "No, I am fine now," Kira said quickly. "I was just curious about humans. On my world, we learn about many species, but humans are still new to us." Jake nodded. He had heard that humans were some of the newest members of the galactic community. Most alien species had been traveling between stars for thousands of years, but humans had only learned about aliens 5 years ago. "Well, if you ever want to know anything about humans, just ask," Jake said. "I mean, I don't know everything, but I can try to answer." Kira looked up at him, and for a moment her skin turned a warm gold color. "Thank you, Jake. You are very kind." That night, Jake lay in his bed thinking about the conversation. He realized that he didn't know much about Kira at all. What was her homeworld like? Did she have family there? What were these special times she had mentioned? He had always thought of Kira as quiet and a little strange, but harmless. She spent most of her time studying or taking care of the small plants she kept in her room. She ate different food than Jake and she needed less sleep, but she had never caused any problems. Maybe he should try to be a better roommate. Maybe he should ask her more questions about her life and her world. After all, they were both far from home, trying to learn new things in a strange place. Jake decided that tomorrow he would make more effort to talk to Kira. He would ask her about her planet and her family. Maybe they could become real friends instead of just two strangers sharing an apartment. As he drifted off to sleep, Jake had no idea that his quiet, harmless roommate was about to change his life forever. 2 weeks later, Jake noticed that something was wrong with Kira. That started small. Kira began staying in her room more often. When she did come out to the kitchen or living room, her skin was a deep purple color that Jake had never seen before. She moved differently too, like she was nervous or scared about something. "Are you feeling okay?" Jake asked one morning as he made coffee. Kira was standing by the window, looking out at the street. Her skin was purple with streaks of gold running through it. "I am fine," she said, but her voice sounded tight. "You don't look fine," Jake said. "Maybe you should see a doctor. Human doctors cannot help me," Kira said quickly. "This is not a human sickness." Jake frowned. "Well, there are alien doctors at the University Medical Center. Dr. Chun works with all kinds of species." "No," Kira said, turning away from the window. I need to stay in my room for a while." "For how long?" Jake asked. Kira's skin flashed bright gold for a moment. "Maybe 2 weeks. Maybe 3. I am not sure." Jake was getting worried now. "Kira, what's going on? Are you sick? Are you in trouble?" "I cannot explain," Kira said. She was backing toward her room. "Just not worry about me. I will be fine." Before Jake could say anything else, Kira disappeared into her room and locked the door. For the next 3 days, Jake barely saw his roommate. He could hear her moving around in her room, but she only came out late at night to get food from the kitchen. When Jake tried to talk to her through the door, she would only say that she was fine and that he should not worry. But Jake was worried. Kira's behavior was getting stranger every day. Sometimes he could hear her making soft noises in her room, almost like she was in pain. The smell coming from under her door was different too, sweet and heavy, like flowers mixed with something else he couldn't identify. On the 4th day, Jake decided he had to do something. He knocked on Kira's door. "Kira, I'm really worried about you. Please let me help." There was no answer. "Kira?" "Go away, Jake," came a muffled voice from inside the room. "Please, just go away." "I'm not going away," Jake said. "You're my roommate. If something is wrong, I want to help." "You cannot help me," Kira said. Her voice sounded strange, like she was having trouble speaking. "This is not something humans can understand." Jake was about to argue when he heard a strange sound. It was a low beep, like an electronic alarm. He looked around the apartment, trying to figure out where the sound was coming from. Suddenly, all the lights in the apartment turned red. The beeping got louder. "What the hell?" Jake said, looking around in confusion. The front door of the apartment made a loud clicking sound. Jake ran to it and tried to turn the handle, but it wouldn't move. The door was locked from the inside, but not with any lock Jake recognized. A blue light appeared in the air near the door. Slowly, the light formed into words that Jake could read. "Productive isolation protocol activated. Duration, 14 days. Reason, Villani mating season detected. All residents must remain in dwelling for safety." Jake stared at the message, his mouth hanging open. "Mating season?" He said out loud. The windows in the apartment made the same clicking sound as the door. Jake ran to the living room window and tried to open it, but it was sealed shut. He tried the kitchen window, then the window in his bedroom. All of them were locked. "Kira!" Jake shouted, running to her door. "Kira, what's happening? Why is the apartment locked?" There was silence for a long moment. Then Kira's voice came through the door, so quiet Jake could barely hear her. "I am sorry, Jake. I am so sorry. I did not know this would happen." "What's happening?" Jake asked. "What is mating season? Why are we locked in here?" Another long silence. Then Kira spoke again, and Jake could hear that she was crying. Every few years, my species goes through a change. Our bodies produce chemicals that affect our behavior. We cannot control it. It lasts for 2 weeks. Jake felt his stomach drop. And we're locked in here together? The safety system detected the chemicals, Kira said. It is designed to protect other species from what I become during this time. What do you become? Jake asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know the answer. I become dangerous. Kira whispered, not violent, but the chemicals I produce can affect other species. They can make you feel things you do not want to feel. They can make you do things you do not want to do. Jake sat down on the floor outside Kira's door. He was starting to understand why she had been hiding from him. So we're stuck here for 2 weeks? He asked. Yes, Kira said. I am so sorry, Jake. I thought I had more time. I thought I could go back to my homeworld before this happened. But the season came early. Jake looked around the apartment. It was small, just 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, a tiny kitchen, and a living room. The idea of being trapped here for 2 weeks was scary enough. Being trapped here with an alien who was going through some kind of biological change was terrifying, but as Jake sat there, he realized something. Kira was just as scared as he was, maybe even more scared. She had been trying to protect him by hiding in her room. She was probably embarrassed and worried about what might happen. Kira? Jake said, leaning against her door. It's going to be okay. We'll figure this out together. You do not understand, Kira said. I am not myself during this time. I might hurt you without meaning to. Then we'll be careful, Jake said. We'll find a way to make this work. There was silence from inside the room. Then Kira spoke again, her voice very small. Thank you, Jake, but you should stay away from me. Lock yourself in your room. Do not come out unless you have to. Jake stood up and looked at the red lights still flashing around the apartment. Outside he could see people, walking on the street, free to go wherever they wanted. But he and Kira were trapped here together, about to face something neither of them fully understood. I'm not going to hide in my room for 2 weeks, Jake said. We're in this together now. Jake spent the first night of the lockdown in his room, trying to sleep but failing. Every sound from Kira's room made him jump. He could hear her moving around, sometimes making soft noises that sounded like she was in pain. The smell was getting stronger too. It had spread from under her door to fill the entire apartment. It was sweet and heavy, like flowers and honey mixed together. Jake found that it made him feel strange, not bad, exactly, but different. His heart beat faster when he breathed it in, and his thoughts felt fuzzy. By morning, Jake knew he couldn't stay locked in his room. If they were going to be trapped together for 2 weeks, they needed to talk about what was happening. He knocked softly on Kira's door. Kira, are you awake? Yes, came her voice, hoarse and tired. Jake, you should not be out there. The air is not safe for you. I'm okay, Jake said, but we need to talk. We need to figure out how to handle this. There is nothing to figure out, Kira said. You must stay away from me. I can't stay in my room for 2 weeks, Jake said. I need food and water. I need to use the bathroom, and so do you. Silence. Kira, I'm not going to hurt you, and I don't think you're going to hurt me. But we need to make some rules so we can both survive this. After a long moment, Kira spoke again. The chemicals in the air, they are getting stronger. Soon they will affect your mind. You will feel things that are not real. What kind of things? Jake asked. Attraction, desire. You will want things you do not actually want. It is how my species. How we find mates during this time? Jake felt his face get hot. Oh, this is why the safety system locked us in. Other species have been hurt by exposure to these chemicals. Some have died. Jake took a deep breath. The sweet smell was definitely affecting him. He could feel it making his thoughts swim, but he was still himself. He could still think clearly. What if we found a way to reduce the chemicals in the air? He asked. Would that help? I do not. No, Kira said. Maybe, but I do not know how to do that. Jake was quiet for a moment, thinking. He was an engineering student. He understood how air systems worked. Maybe there was something he could do. I'm going to look at the apartment's air system, Jake said. Maybe I can filter out some of the chemicals. Jake, no, Kira said. It is too dangerous. The chemicals are strongest near my room. I'll be careful, Jake said. I'll wear a mask or something. He went to his room and found an old t-shirt. He soaked it in water and tied it around his face, covering his nose and mouth. It wasn't perfect, but it might help a little. The apartment's air system was controlled by a panel in the hallway between their rooms. Jake had never paid attention to it before, but now he studied it carefully. It was more complex than he had expected, with settings for different types of air filtration. As he worked, Jake could hear Kira moving around in her room. The sounds were different now, less like someone who was sick and more like someone who was... He tried not to think about it. What are you doing? Kira asked through her door. I'm changing the air filter settings, Jake said. Maybe I can increase the filtration and reduce the concentration of the chemicals. You know how to do that? I'm learning, Jake said. I study engineering. This is just another problem to solve. Jake worked for over an hour, adjusting settings and testing different configurations. Slowly, he began to notice that the sweet smell was getting weaker. The wet t-shirt around his face was helping too. I think it's working, Jake said. The air is clearing a little. Really? Kira's voice sounded hopeful for the first time in days. Yeah, it's not perfect, but it's better. Jake heard movement from inside Kira's room. Then, very slowly, her door opened just a crack. Jake? Kira's voice was very quiet. I'm here, Jake said. Thank you. I feel a little more like myself. Jake smiled, even though she couldn't see him. Good, that was the idea. I am still not safe to be around, Kira sighed, but maybe we can talk sometimes. Through the door. I'd like that, Jake said. Over the next few days, Jake and Kira developed a routine. Jake would adjust the air filtration system every morning, making small improvements. Kira would stay in her room during the times when the chemicals were strongest. Usually the middle of the day and late at night, but during the quieter periods they would talk through her door. Jake learned more about Kira in those few days than he had in the previous 3 months. She told him about her homeworld, Velanus, which was covered in vast forests and floating cities. She told him about her family. Her parents were both scientists, and she had 2 younger siblings who were still in school. My people are very private about the mating season, Kira explained. We usually return to our home world when it is time. There are special places where we can go through the change safely. Why didn't you go back? Jake asked. I thought I had more time, Kira said. Andy, I did not want to leave my studies. I love learning about Earth's plants. I was hoping to finish my research before the season came. He felt sorry for her. She was far from home, going through something difficult and embarrassing, with only a human stranger to help her. What happens on your world during mating season? Jake asked. We have special buildings where those in season can stay. They are designed to contain the chemicals and protect others. Family members bring food and check on us, but they wear protection gear. That sounds better than being locked in a tiny apartment, Jake said. Yes, Kira agreed. But Jake, I am grateful that you are here. I was afraid I would have to go through this alone. You don't have to thank me, Jake said. We're roommates. We look out for each other. As the days passed, Jake began to understand what Kira was going through. The chemicals her body produced didn't just affect other species. They affected her, too. She would go through periods where she seemed almost normal, followed by times when she could barely speak or think clearly during the worst periods. Jake would leave food and water outside her door, then retreat to his room until she felt better. He learned to read the signs, when the sweet smell got stronger, when the air felt thick and heavy, when he could hear her making soft sounds of distress. But Jake also discovered something else. The longer he was exposed to the chemicals, the more his body seemed to adapt to them. The fuzzy feeling in his thoughts was still there, but it was weaker now. He could think clearly even when the smell was strong. Is that normal? Kira asked when he told her about this. I don't know, Jake said. Maybe humans are more adaptable than you thought. Maybe, Kira said. Or maybe you are just unusual, Jake. By the end of the first week, Jake had managed to create a system that made their situation much more bearable. The air filtration was working well enough that they could both be in the common areas of the apartment for short periods. Jake had also found ways to create barriers, wet towels hung in doorways, fans that moved air around. Even a makeshift mask for himself made from coffee filters and rubber bands. You are very clever, Kira told him one evening as they sat in the living room, talking face to face for the first time since the lockdown began. Her skin was a soft purple now, with gold streaks that seemed to pulse slowly. She looked tired but more like herself. I just don't like giving up, Jake said. There's always a solution to every problem, you just have to find it. Kira looked at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Her skin shifted to a warm gold color. Most species would have panicked by now, she said, or gotten angry, or tried to break down the door. Would that have helped? Jake asked. No, Kira said. But most people do not think clearly when they are afraid. Jake thought about this. He had been afraid, he still was afraid. But fear had never stopped him from trying to solve problems before. Maybe that was just how humans worked. 1 more week, Jake said. We can handle 1 more week. Kira's skin grew brighter gold. Yes, she said, I think we can. The second week of the lockdown started with Jake waking up to complete silence. This was unusual. For the past week, he could always hear some movement from Kira's room, soft footsteps, the rustle of clothing, or the quiet sounds she made when the mating season was affecting her strongly, but now there was nothing. Jake got up and walked to Kira's door. He knocked gently. Kira, are you okay? No answer. Jake felt worry spread through his chest. He knocked again, harder this time. Kira? I'm here, came a very weak voice from inside the room. But Jake... something is wrong. What do you mean wrong? Jake asked, pressing his ear to the door. I feel... different, worse than before. And I think the chemicals are getting stronger again. Jake could smell it too. The sweet, heavy scent that had been manageable for the past few days was getting thicker. His air filtration system was working hard, but it wasn't enough anymore. Can you tell me what's different? Jake asked. It's like my body is preparing for something big, the final stage, I think. But I don't know what to expect. I've never been through this before. Jake felt his stomach drop. What do you mean? You've never been through this before? Villani usually experience our first mating season when we are older, Kira explained. And always on our home world, with help from our families. I'm too young. This shouldn't be happening to me yet. So you don't know what's coming next? No, Kira said, and Jake could hear fear in her voice. I only know what I learned in school. And the lesson said that the final stage is ... intense. Jake ran his hands through his hair, thinking this was bad. He had been managing the situation by learning as they went, but now Kira was entering unknown territory. Okay, Jake said. We'll figure it out together, just like we have been. Jake, I don't think you understand, Kira said. In the final stage, the chemicals become much stronger. They're designed to make other Villani want to mate. But they affect other species, too. Very strongly. How strongly? Jake asked. I don't know. But the safety warnings say that some species lose control of their actions completely. They might hurt themselves or others without meaning to. Jake felt a chill run down his spine. The sweet smell was already making his thoughts fuzzy. If it got much stronger... poke. What if I stayed in my room? Jake asked, with the door locked. That might help, Kira said. But Jake... I'm scared. What if something goes wrong? What if I get sick and you can't help me because you're hiding? Jake thought about this. Kira was right to be worried. They were in a situation that neither of them fully understood, with no one to help them if something went wrong. I have an idea, Jake said. What if I could build something to protect me from the chemicals? Like a better mask or breathing system? Do you think that would work? I don't know, but it's worth trying. Jake spent the next few hours searching the apartment for materials. He found plastic bags, rubber bands, coffee filters, and a small fan from his desk. He also found some activated charcoal from the aquarium filter he used to keep in his room. Working at the kitchen table, Jake began building what he hoped would be a better protection system. He created a mask that covered his entire face with layers of coffee filters and charcoal to clean the air. He attached the small fan to pull air through the filters before it reached his nose and mouth. It wasn't perfect, but it was better than anything he had tried before. "How does it look?" Jake asked, knocking on Kira's door while wearing his invention. "I cannot see you," Kira said. "But if you made it, it is probably very clever." "I'm going to test it," Jake said. "I'll stay near your door for a few minutes and see how I feel." Jake stood in the hallway, breathing through his makeshift mask. The sweet smell was still there, but it was much weaker. More importantly, his thoughts stayed clear. "I think it's working," Jake said. "Really?" Kira sounded hopeful. "Yeah, I can smell the chemicals, but they're not affecting me as much." Wonderful, Jake. You are so smart." Jake smiled behind his mask. "I just don't like giving up on problems." As the day went on, Jake could tell that Kira was entering the final stage of her mating season. The chemicals in the air became so strong that even his improved mask couldn't block them completely. But it was enough to let him think clearly and move around the apartment. More importantly, it let him take care of Kira. "I need help," Kira said through her door that evening. Her voice sounded strange, like she was having trouble speaking. "What kind of help?" Jake asked. "I'm very hot. And I can't can't think clearly, everything hurts." Jake had been afraid of this. "What can I do?" "Water," Kira said. "Cold water, and maybe you could talk to me? So I don't feel so alone?" Jake filled a large bowl with cold water and left it outside Kira's door. He also brought a stack of clean towels. "The water is here," Jake said. "Can you reach it?" He heard the door open slightly and then the sound of Kira moving the bowl into her room. "Thank you," she said. "Jake. Can you sit by the door and talk to me?" "Of course," Jake said, settling down on the floor outside her room. "What do you want to talk about?" "Anything. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your home." Jake began talking about his life before the university. He told Kira about his parents, who were both teachers in a small town. He told her about his younger sister, who wanted to be a doctor. He told her about the old house where he grew up, with its big yard and the tree he used to climb as a child. As he talked, Jake could hear Kira moving around in her room. Sometimes she made soft sounds like she was in pain. Sometimes she was quiet for long periods. But whenever he stopped talking, she would ask him to continue. "Your family sounds nice," Kira said during a quiet moment. "Do you miss them?" "Yeah," Jake said. "But I know they're proud of me for going to the university. They always said I was good at solving problems." "They were right," Kira said. "You are the best problem solver I have ever met." "I just don't like it when things seem impossible," Jake said. "There's always a way to make things better, even if it's just a little bit." "That is very human," Kira said. "My people would have accepted this situation and waited for it to pass. But you you found ways to make it better." "Maybe that's what humans are good at," Jake said. "We don't like to just accept problems, we like to fix them." "Yes," Kira said. "That is what makes you special." They talked through the night. Jake told more stories about his life, and Kira shared more about her homeworld. She told him about the floating cities where her people lived, and the great forests that covered most of the planet. She told him about the festivals her people had, and the way they celebrated the changing of the seasons. "It sounds beautiful," Jake said. "It is," Kira said. "But Jake, I think I prefer Earth now. I prefer living here with humans." "Why?" "Because humans don't just accept the world as it is. You try to make it better. You helped me when no one else could have." Jake felt warm inside, despite the strange situation they were in. "You're not so bad yourself," he said. "You're brave and smart. And you're the only person I know who can make plants grow just by touching them." Kira laughed, and it was the first time Jake had heard her laugh in weeks. That is not how it works, she said, but thank you. As the sun began to rise, Jake noticed that the sweet smell in the air was getting weaker. Kira's voice sounded more normal too. I think it's ending, Kira said. The final stage, I mean. I feel more like myself. Really? Jake asked. Yes, my skin is returning to normal colors, the heat is going away. And I can think clearly again. Jake felt relief flood through him. They had made it through the worst part. How do you feel? Jake asked. Tired, Kira said, but good. Better than I have felt in weeks. We did it, Jake said. We actually did it. No, Jake, Kira said, you did it. You found a way to help me when I thought no one could. Jake leaned back against her door, exhausted but happy. In just a few more days, the lockdown would end. They would be free to leave the apartment and return to their normal lives. But somehow, Jake knew that things would never be quite the same between them again. 3 days later, Jake woke up to the sound of electronic beeping. He sat up in bed, confused for a moment. Then he remembered the lockdown was ending today. Red lights flashed around the apartment one last time, and then suddenly everything went quiet. The lights returned to normal. Jake heard the soft click of the front door unlocking. Jake? Kira's voice came from her room. Is it over? I think so, Jake said, getting out of bed. He walked to the front door and tried the handle. It turned easily. Yeah, we're free. Jake heard Kira's door open for the first time in 2 weeks. He turned around and saw her standing in the hallway. She looked tired but healthy. Her skin was its normal pale blue color, with no sign of the purples and golds that had marked her mating season. How do you feel? Jake asked. Much better, Kira said. Normal again. Thank you, Jake, for everything, Jake smiled. You don't need to thank me. We got through it together. They stood there for a moment, looking at each other. After 2 weeks of talking through a door, it felt strange to be in the same room again. I should clean up, Kira said, looking around the apartment. I know the smell has been difficult. Actually, it's not that bad anymore, Jake said. My air filtration system is still working. Kira looked at the vents and fans that Jake had installed throughout the apartment. You changed our entire home to help me. It wasn't that hard, Jake said. Just basic engineering. No, Jake, Kira said. It was much more than that. Over the next few days, Jake and Kira slowly returned to their normal routines. Kira went back to her classes and her research in the greenhouse. Jake returned to his engineering projects and his studies, but something had changed between them. They talked more now, really talked. They shared meals together and watched movies in the evening. Kira asked questions about human culture, and Jake learned more about life on Velanus. I have something to tell you, Kira said one evening as they sat on the couch together. Something I should have told you a long time ago. What is it? Jake asked. Kira's skin turned a soft gold color. I requested you as my roommate, Jake blinked. What do you mean? When I came to Earth, the housing office gave me several options for roommates. I could have lived with another alien student or with a human who had experience with other species. But I asked for you specifically. Why? Jake asked. Because I had heard about humans, Kira said. My professors on Velanus told me that humans were different. Special. They said that humans could adapt to almost any situation, that they were kind and clever and never gave up when things got difficult. Jake felt his face get warm. You heard about humans in school? Yes, humans are very famous in the galactic community now. Not because you have better technology or stronger bodies, but because of how you think, how you solve problems, how you help others even when it's hard. I had no idea, Jake said. I was scared about my mating season, Kira continued. I knew it would happen while I was on Earth, and I was terrified of going through it alone. I hoped that maybe a human would be able to help me in ways that other species couldn't. Jake stared at her. So this was all planned? No, Kira said quickly. I didn't plan for us to be locked together. I didn't plan for it to happen so early or to be so intense. I just hoped that if something went wrong, a human would be more likely to help me instead of running away. And you chose me? I chose you because your application essay said you wanted to study engineering to help people. It said you believed that every problem had a solution and that you never gave up. I thought I thought maybe you wouldn't give up on me. Jake felt a strange mix of emotions. He was surprised, but also a little proud. Did it work? Did I help the way you hoped? Kira's skin turned bright gold. You helped me more than I ever dreamed possible. Most species would have panicked or gotten angry or tried to break down the door. But you you found ways to make an impossible situation work. You took care of me when I couldn't take care of myself. Anyone would have done the same thing, Jake said. No, Jake, they wouldn't have. That's what makes humans special. That's what makes you special. Jake thought about the past few weeks. At the time, he had just been trying to survive a difficult situation. He hadn't thought of himself as doing anything heroic. What happens now? Jake asked. What do you mean? I mean, your mating season is over. Do you want to go back to your homeworld? Find a different roommate? Kira looked surprised. Do you want me to leave? No, Jake said quickly. I like living with you. I just thought, maybe now that this is over, you might want something different. Jake, Kira said, moving closer to him on the couch. I want to stay here, with you, if you'll have me. Of course I'll have you, Jake said. You're the best roommate I've ever had. Kira smiled. Even after 2 weeks of being locked up together? Especially after 2 weeks of being locked up together. Jake said, There's something else? Kira said. My professors want to meet you. Your professors? Why? Because of what you did, how you handled my mating season. They want to study your methods. They think what you did could help other species deal with Villani mating seasons in the future. Jake felt overwhelmed. I just did what made sense at the time. That's exactly what they want to understand, Kira said. How humans think about problems. How you find solutions that other species miss. What would that mean? Jake asked. They want to invite you to Velanus to teach at our university, to help develop new safety protocols for interspecies interactions. Jake's mind raced. They want me to teach aliens about being human? They want you to teach us about thinking like humans, Kira said. About not giving up when things seem impossible. About finding ways to help each other even in the worst situations. Jake looked around their small apartment. Just a few weeks ago, this had been a place where two strangers happened to live together. Now it felt like home. Would you come with me? Jake asked. To Velanus? If you want me to, Kira said. I would be honored to translate for you and to show you my world. I think I'd like that, Jake said. But first, I want to finish my degree here, and I want to spend more time learning about your culture. We have time, Kira said. All the time in the world, Jake smiled. So we're really going to do this? Stay roommates? Go to alien worlds together? If you want to, Kira said. But Jake I should warn you. On Velanus, you'll be famous. What you did will be studied and talked about for years. You'll be known as the human who helped a Villani through her first mating season. That sounds embarrassing, Jake said. It's not embarrassing, Kira said. It's an honor. You'll be known as someone who shows what humans are capable of. Someone who proves that different species can help each other, even in the most difficult situations. Jake thought about this. A few months ago, he had been just another engineering student, worried about passing his classes and finding a job after graduation. Now he was being invited to teach at an alien university. Do you think other humans could do what I did? Jake asked. I don't know, Kira said, but I think the galaxy is about to find out. More and more species are asking for human partners and roommates. They've heard about what happened with us, and they want to see what humans can do. No pressure, Jake said with a laugh. You don't need pressure, Kira said. You just need to be yourself. That's all you did with me, and it was enough. Jake looked at his alien roommate, who had become his friend, and who might soon become his guide to an entire galaxy full of new problems to solve. All right, he said. Let's do it. Let's show the galaxy what humans can do. Kira's skin turned the brightest gold Jake had ever seen. "I can't wait," she said. And as they sat together in their small apartment, Jake realized that this was just the beginning. The galaxy was full of problems that needed solving and species that needed help. And maybe, just maybe, humans were exactly what the galaxy needed. After all, humans never gave up. And they never left their friends behind. The end.